Hi YouTubers, it's video something important. So talk about this right now, it's Tobacco News right now. So today is still Tobacco Tuesday, like a big ass cigar. So I want to do some myth busting right now. So we are talking about three top myths about tobacco products. So essentially I want to talk about these myths right now. Let's get right into this crap right now. So it might be kind of like a health related subject. So if you're not into watching health related subjects, please click off right now. You know what to do. So anyway, first myth. Not all tobacco has nicotine. This is a complete bullshit myth. So, no. All tobacco products do have nicotine. Cigarettes, cigars, pipe tobacco, hookah tobacco, chewing tobacco, dipping tobacco, snus, nasal snuff, nicotine replacement therapy, patches, gum, in the vast majority of electronic cigarettes or vaping devices also have nicotine. So nicotine is in almost every tobacco product, period. It's hard pressed to find a tobacco product that has no nicotine. It's pretty much non-existent. So there are some vaping devices that do not have nicotine, but that is considered unusual. And also there are some like non-tobacco chews or dips, like for example beef jerky chew obviously does not have nicotine, obviously, or like herbal chew has no tobacco, no nicotine. But the vast majority of tobacco products, nicotine, nicotine, nicotine. Nicotine is not an additive. People say, oh, it's an additive. The tobacco companies are dumping in barrels of nicotine. This evil tobacco company is dumping in barrels of nicotine to the tobacco. It is true that the cigarette industry is fucking evil. They are fucking evil, for a better word. And yes, they do add a significant amount of chemicals, all kinds of shit, as in bullshit, all kinds of shit into the tobacco. They add all kinds of added chemicals, and they do enhance the nicotine in cigarettes. And when I say cigarettes, I'm talking about like your standard cigarette, your Marlboro, your Camel, your Newport, your Pall Mall, your Lucky Strike, etc., etc. So yes, the vast majority of cigarettes do have enhanced nicotine, and the nicotine in most cigarettes is not like the nicotine in pipe tobacco and cigars, or hookah tobacco, or chewing tobacco. Now that's the first thing. But contrary to popular belief, nicotine is not a additive. It's a natural chemical in the plant, and if it's a tobacco product, it has tobacco, it has nicotine to some degree. Now, some tobacco products are higher nicotine, some tobacco products are lower nicotine. For example, nasal snuff, for the most part, is pretty low in nicotine. For example, on the other hand, like dip, like Copenhagen, super high in nicotine. Snus can be extremely high in nicotine. So, but yeah, nicotine is not an additive. The tobacco companies are not dumping in barrels of nicotine into the tobacco. Complete bullshit. Second myth, when you burn tobacco, not all of it has tar. That is also a bullshit myth. So a lot of people say, well, how can tar grow in a plant? Well, it's not growing on the plant, you dummy. You idiot. It's like, what it is when you burn an organic substance like tobacco or pot or any kind of organic substance for that matter, it creates tar. If you were to take tea leaves or even like catnip, or even like any kind of herbal product, like salvia, or like which is basically fake weed, and basically burn it, of course it's going to create tar. The only slight exception, I believe, is hookah tobacco or shisha. Because you're burning it with coals, potentially there's no tar in hookah smoke because it doesn't burn hot enough to create tar. I think it has to burn around 500 degrees to create actual tar. So there is a certain temperature limit. However, I would take that with a huge grain of salt. The vast majority of tobacco products you're smoking, cigarettes, cigars, pipe tobacco, all those tobacco products, anything that's smoked, that's burned, obviously has tar. Obviously, e-cigarettes don't, because it's vapor, not tar. And obviously, chewing tobacco and dipping tobacco and snus and snuff doesn't have tar because it's not being burned. You're just placing your lip, or you're, for example, you're sniffing it, or you're chewing it, or you're holding it between your cheek and your gum. Obviously, that doesn't have tar, obviously. But anything that's burned, like cigarettes, cigars, and pipes, definitely 100% has tar. People are like, oh, the tobacco companies are, dumping in barrels of tar into the tobacco. Complete bullshit. Complete fucking bullshit. Nope, they're not dumping in barrels of tar. I'm not making light of the cigarette industry. I'm not saying they're not a fucking evil industry. I'm not saying that they don't add, all kinds of horrible bullshit into their tobacco. I mean, all kinds of, horrible chemicals. But the idea that they're dumping in barrels of added tar is total bullshit. Total horseshit. So, anyway, that's the second myth. And then the final myth is very common about hookahs. This is about shisha pipes or water pipes, and this can also be true of bongs also, or, like water pipes or bubblers, is people think, oh, if the smoke passes through the water, basically passes through the water, it's purified, and therefore it removes a significant amount of toxins. That is bullshit. So, not true. Now, it's true that hookah smoke, like I said, doesn't have tar because it doesn't burn hot enough to create tar, but that has to do with the temperature of how hot it burns, not due to the fact that it's passing through water. The idea that you have in your head, you'll hear from people all the time in the marijuana community or the cannabis community, oh, it's a lot safer to smoke a bong than it is to smoke a joint because the smoke is passing through water and therefore the water is purifying the smoke. Now, I've never smoked pot before. I can't speak personally, but from what I've read, everything I've read, no. It's complete bullshit, as in bullshit is bullshit. I mean, the idea that if, cannabis smoke or tobacco smoke or any kind of smoke for that matter, whether you're smoking herbs, you're smoking salvia, which is fake weed, the idea that if it's passing through like an inch or two of water, that totally purifies the smoke and removes all the toxins, removes all the tar, removes all the chemicals. That's total horseshit. I mean, for a better word, that's total horseshit. I mean, there's nothing true about that. Now, it may be true to remove some degree of chemicals. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the water does get rid of some chemicals. That's why you probably find residue around the bowl, is because it's removing some degree of chemicals, just like when you use a filter on a pipe or a filter on a cigar or a cigarello or, a fucking cigarette, obviously it's catching some degree of tar, it's catching, some degree of, particles, but the idea if you smoke a hookah, you're getting no tar into your, or no crap into your lungs because it's being entirely caught by the water. The water is purifying, the fucking chemicals, the fucking tar, the fucking crap in general. That's total crap. I mean, that's total shit. Not true. If you believe that, you're not very smart. So those are the three most common myths. Is number one, not all tobacco has nicotine. Bullshit. Number two, tar is a added chemical, or nicotine is an added chemical. Bullshit. And number three, if you smoke a water pipe or a hookah, essentially the water is purifying the smoke and you're not breathing any toxins because the water is purifying the smoke. Total bullshit. Anyway, bye. And I'm entitled to my own opinion. So I'm entitled to my own opinion like my asshole. And if you want to troll me, flame me, that's fine. But I don't want to get into a big discussion about it. So anyway, bye. Pretty fucking cool.